Good morning. Today we're going to work on solving systems of equations with substitution or elimination. But we're going to do real world problems right now, and we're going to be writing systems from the word problems and then solving them. This is TEKS A.5C from Algebra 1. So here are some steps I found for when we solve real world problems. We're going to start off by highlighting important information. We're going to highlight information that we're going to come back to and use for our equations. Always define your variables. Does x equal the amount of pants you bought, or does x equal the cost of the pants? It's important to know what you are looking for. Then we're going to write the two equations. We're going to either use substitution or elimination today to solve them. We should check our answers by plugging them back into the original pair, and then we're going to write our final answers as a complete sentence. So Big's Burgers sells combos for $8 or just the hamburger for $5. During a birthday party, they sold food to 40 customers. The total money collected was $290 before tax. Write a system of equation that models the number of combos, C, sold, and the number of hamburgers, H, sold. Then use this system to find out how many of each were ordered. So we're going to start off by highlighting important information. Combos are $8. Hamburgers are $5. They sold food to 40 customers. Total money collected was $290. So all of that is enough information to write two equations. So the next step is to define our variables. They did tell us to use C and H. You can normally use whatever variables you want. I tend to use X and Y. But C is going to be the number of combos sold. And H is going to be the number of hamburgers sold. So normally I find total value the easiest one to write the equation for. So it says they sold food to 40 customers. And the customers either bought a combo or they bought a hamburger. So the number of combos plus the number of hamburgers is going to equal to 40. Okay. Now it comes to money. How much is each combo costing? Well, every combo that they sell is going to cost $8. So we're going to do 8 times the number of combos plus $5 times the number of hamburgers is going to equal the total money they collected. So in this case, it's going to be $8 for every combo plus $5 for every hamburger, and it's going to equal the total money they collected. Now it's your choice to use substitution or elimination here. They're both good methods we can use. I'm going to go ahead and choose elimination here. So again, you can choose either one. Answers should come out the same. So for elimination, I am looking at finding the same coefficient but with different signs. And neither one of these have this. So I'm going to go ahead and make the C's the same number. So this 1 has to turn into a -8. How would a 1 turn into a -8? Well, I multiply this whole equation times -8. So that -8 is going to multiply here, here, and here. So now I have -8C minus 8H is going to equal to -320. And now we're going to add these two equations together. Okay, so we add them together, but one of the variables is going to be eliminated. 8C minus 8C isn't there anymore. I'm left with -3H equals -30. Well, how do I get H by itself? I divide by -3. So H equals 10. Now, is that the cost of a hamburger? What did that stand for? That stood for the number of hamburgers they sold alone. Okay. Now, I get to pick an equation to plug that back into. And guys, I'm going to pick the easiest one. I'm going to come back to this one right here. And I'm going to plug this H into this number. So C plus H equal to 40. But I'm going to come back and plug the 10 into H. Subtract 10 from both sides. The number of combos sold were 30. So when we ask for a sentence, Big's Burgers sold 30 combos and 10 hamburgers during the party. So again, we're just going to come back with our answers and we're going to write a sentence with it. Okay. You are running a concession stand at a basketball game. You're selling hot dogs and sodas. Each hot dog cost $1.50 and each soda cost 50 cents. At the end of the night, you made a total of $78.50. You sold a total of 87 hot dogs and sodas combined. So we're basically trying to figure out how many hot dogs and how many sodas. So first step is to highlight important information. Hot dog cost $1.50, soda cost 50 cents, and you made this much money. That's one equation right there. The other equation is you sold a total of 87 hot dogs and sodas. So first step is to write down, our next step is to write down what variables we're going to use. We can use H and S. Okay. So H is the number of hot dogs sold. S is the number of sodas sold. Our next step is to write the two equations. So the first equation I did in blue is going to be the money. Each hot dog costs $1.50. So for every hot dog, it's $1.50 times the number of hot dogs plus 50 cents times the number of sodas is going to equal to $78.50. Okay, my red equation, the total number I sold. So if I add the number of hot dogs I sold plus the number of sodas I sold, I'm going to get a total of 87 total that were sold. Now, if you have the two equations, your next step is to solve them. Again, your choice is substitution or elimination. Now, guys, whenever we have a decimal, and be honest, I would prefer not using elimination. It gets a little bit trickier with decimals. So we're going to go ahead and do substitution. It's your choice which variable to solve for. So I'm going to look down here, and I have ones as my coefficients. So substitution is, makes more sense. I'm going to go ahead and solve for S. So how do I get S by itself? I subtract H from both sides. I have 87 minus H. I'm going to take this 87 minus H and I'm going to plug it back into S. I'm going to come over here on the left. So 1.5H plus 0.5, and in place of S, I'm going to write 87 minus H is equal to 78.50. Next is to distribute inside the parentheses. So I now have 1.5H plus 43.50 minus 0.5H is equal to 78.50. Combine like terms. 1.5H minus 0.5H is actually just 1H plus 43.50 is equal to 78.50. Subtract 43.50 from each side. When I subtract 43.50, I get 35. So there were 35 hot dogs sold. Okay. I'm going to take that 35 and come up here to the one that I already solved for sodas. So sodas equals 87 minus 35. Sodas equals 52. So my full sentence would be, the concession stand sold 35 hot dogs and 52 sodas. The reason why that equation is important is eventually when we start doing three variables and we use X, Y, Z, sometimes they're given to us out of order. It's just important to know our information that we have, what it means. So guys, you always should come back also and, check your work. Does it make sense? Do these two numbers add up to 87? They do. If I multiply every hot dog times 1.5 and I multiply every soda by 0.5, and I add them together, do I get 7850? I do. So that's the way you check your work to make sure you have it correct. So this next one, I want you to start off by just writing your equation. So go ahead and highlight your important information. I want you to define your variables and write your equations. So pause this video. So check your equations and make sure that they're correct. Now it's your choice to use substitution or elimination. I'm going to go ahead and pause this video. I want you to go ahead and try to solve it and make sure that your answers make sense in this context. We're talking about tacos and burritos. We're not looking at, $20 items, that your answers should be realistic. So go ahead and pause this video, try working it out, and when you come back, your answer will be there. Okay, I chose to do substitution method. So where I have step 1, what I did is I took this bottom equation and I solved for y. Solving for x would have been hard, guys. Solving for x would have meant that I was dividing by 4 and I would have had decimals. Okay? If I used this one here, I could have solved for either one, but I saw the 0.25, so I kind of stayed away from it. So again, this is how I did it. So that's what I did for step 1. Step 2 is I took the top equation and plugged it back in. Distributed, combined like terms, subtracted 15, divided by negative 3. So, and then I plugged this back into this to find out how much the burritos were. So my final answer is that Taco Cabana's soft tacos cost $1.25 each, and burritos cost $2.50 each. Okay, so I want you to go ahead and try this one again. Go ahead and try writing your equations, and go ahead and pause this video. So hopefully you got these 2 equations correctly. Now it doesn't matter which ones you write first. So this said that the total number of items you were going to buy was 6. So the number of jeans plus the number of dresses are going to equal 6. Now guys, I used X and Y not because of anything else besides the fact that I noticed that different letters sometimes I didn't like the S's, okay? So I'm using X and Y if they don't tell me what variable to use. So each jean costs $25. So 25 times the number of jeans plus 50 times the number of dresses is going to equal to $200. So substitution or elimination, your choice. Looking at this, I do see one coefficient, so substitution would be easy. But I also see that it's going to be easy to do elimination. So pick which one you want and go ahead and work out this problem. Okay, hopefully you came out to the right answers. Now I did, it says dresses and jeans, but yeah, we started with jeans and dresses. So always go back and make sure that X was jeans. So the number of jeans was 4. So I actually flipped them here. So you actually bought 2 dresses since Y is dresses. So guys, I chose elimination. I'm going to be honest. I think a lot of us are more comfortable with substitution because we've actually been using substitution for a while and elimination is new, which is why I chose to do elimination, okay? So I chose elimination and I made the x's the same but different numbers. So step 1 was to multiply the whole equation by negative 25. When I multiplied the whole equation, I got negative 25x minus 25y equals to negative 150. Step 2 is to actually add the equations together. But my x's actually canceled each other out. They eliminated, they added to 0, they're gone. So I combined my y's and got positive 25y equals positive 50. Divided by 25 and I got y equals 2. Then I plugged it back into the top equation to get my x equals 4 and I wrote my sentence. So hopefully you're getting these right. Let's go ahead and try another one. So I like the money one. We're going to see a lot of money ones. Zoe has a total of 16 coins. Okay, so as we're reading this, guys, I'm already thinking, okay, what information do I need? Some of the coins are dimes and some are nickels. The combined value of our nickels and dimes is $1.35. How many dimes does she have? And that's just how many dimes does she have? We will have to solve for both, but then we're just coming back for dimes. We can use N and D. So N. So we need to know, is it the number of nickels or is it the value of a nickel? Well, guys, whenever you have money, it's always going to be the number of nickels. Now, technically this problem seems like it didn't give us enough information. Because why don't I have more numbers? Because you are expected to know how much the value is of a nickel and how much the value is of a dime. So money-wise, the value of a nickel, and now think about decimal places, please don't put 0.5. The nickel is 0.05 for every nickel, plus 0.10 for every dime is going to equal $1.35. Now what I did in red, she has 16 total coins. So nickels plus dimes is going to equal 16 coins. So that has nothing to do with money. That's just the number of coins. So nickels plus dime is 16 total coins. Now, I'm going to be honest here. I'm not going to do elimination because of all those decimals, okay? So I'm going to do substitution. So I'm going to go ahead and pause the video. I want you guys to try and work out this question. Okay, officially, since the problem only asked how many dimes does she have, the answer is actually 11. And essentially with this problem, we could have stopped there. But because some of us didn't solve it this way, you would have found N first and then substituted for D. So I did want to show both answers. So I chose substitution and I solved this bottom equation for N. So I got 16 minus D. I plugged it in here. Now, the biggest mistake here is multiplying the 0.05 times 16. I'm not using a calculator. I just thought a nickel times 16 nickels is 80 cents. Okay. Multiplied. Then I combined like terms. Negative 0.05 plus 0.10 is 0.05. Subtracted 0.80. Divided by 0.05. Okay. Once you solve for one variable, I came back to what I had in blue. You can actually do blue or red. I don't know why I did the red one, but N plus D equals 16. I plugged it in and subtracted 11. I got N equals 5. So your work probably looks different, but as long as you got the same answer, that's all that matters. Okay. We're going to do a couple more, and we will stop there. So let's go ahead and give another one a try. Pause this video. When you come back, the answer will be there. Hopefully you came out to 13 3-hour classes and 5 4-hour classes. So I chose to do elimination method. So my first step I did in black was I wrote the two equations. My second step I did in red was in order to do elimination, I had to make one of the variables have the same number but different signs. So how can I make the x that was a positive 1, how can I make it turn into a negative 3? Well, the answer was to multiply it by negative 3. But remember, you have to multiply the whole equation by negative 3. So I got what's in here in red. What's next is what I did in blue was I added this red one and this top black one together. And my x's were eliminated because 3x minus 3x is gone. I then had 4y minus 3y. 1y equals to 5. What's next in purple was I took that 5 and I substituted it back in. And I ended up with x equals to 13. As a sentence, remember they were only asking how many courses worth 3 credits did they complete. So officially the answer is the student completed 13 3-hour classes. Another one with money. So a bag contains 24 coins, quarters and dimes. The total value of the coins is $4.80. How many quarters and dimes are in the bag? Whenever we use money, I do like using quarters and dimes. I like using Q and D. I tend to use X and Y a lot, and X and Y is normally my go-to, but in this case, I'm going to go ahead and use Q and D. So Q is the number of quarters in bag, and D is the number of dimes in bag. Now go ahead and try to write the equations on your own. So check to make sure that your equations are right before you solve it. Now looking at this, what method do you think would be easiest? We can do elimination, But whenever I have decimals, I personally prefer doing substitution. So I'm going to do substitution method, but whatever method you decide is fine. So go ahead and pause this video, and I do want you to finish solving this question. You have one more question to do on your own. Go ahead and define your variables and write your equations, and we'll come back to make sure that the equations are right before we continue this problem. I think the first equation, everybody usually gets this one right. It's this one that people have trouble with. So this reads 5 points less than what? So 5 points less than what? Less than 3 times the amount Nicholas scored. Okay, so again, whenever you see the word less than, that means it comes at the end. So 5 points less than 3 times Nicholas. So now your choice to do substitution or elimination. I'm going to give you a hint though. One of your variables is already solved for, so that might be a hint to what method's easier. Now go ahead and pause this video, and when you come back, the answer will be there. Final answer is Isaiah scored 31 points and Nicholas scored 12 points. Guys, substitution was the easiest method because I was already solved for. Okay, so I took that and I substituted it back in, and I solved for n. Okay. So I could drop the parentheses because there's nothing in front of it. So I had 3n plus 1, and I got 4n. And I added 5 divided by 4, and I got Nicholas equals 12. Then I took this equation that was already solved for, and I brought it over here because I plugged in the 12 into Nicholas. So guys, when you finish solving these, go back and see if they make sense. Do they add up to 43? Yes. Is Isaiah 5 points less than 3 times Nicholas? Yes, it is. So that's how we can check if these numbers are correct. Okay. So hopefully you guys have a better understanding of solving with substitution or elimination. If this video helped you at all, give it a thumbs up, leave me a comment, and subscribe to this channel if you want more educational videos. Thanks, and have a great day.